Thank you for tuning in to Ellensburg Amplifier Repair and Service. What I have today is a Alpine V12 Expert, the MRV-T505, which has been sent in by Kyle. I do thank Kyle for allowing me to make this video and get this information out. So there's a couple things real quick that I want to go over what you're seeing on the screen here. This V12 has a switch on the side where you can select between nominal and 4 volt on your input level. So basically your preamp voltage. It came in at nominal. It has 2 selections, nominal and 4 volts. Now, I have been out of the head unit world for many years, but I always do refer back to data sheets and manuals and stuff when it comes to the head units. So he's running the Alpine CDE 172BT head unit. So we'll keep that in mind as we move forward with this. But here on the meter here, you'll see that I have a 2.993 volt input from my signal generator. It's a 50 hertz signal right now at roughly 3 volts. And I do have the power hooked up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire the amp up here real quick. And you'll see on the scope there, that we do build just an absolute perfectly clean 50 hertz sine wave on both channels. There is nothing about that sine wave that I would consider to be of any issue on those sine waves. So let me increase that signal up to 500 hertz. Usually as you increase the frequencies, you can start to notice or see issues with the preamp, but at 500 hertz, no issue. Let's move on to 5 kilohertz. And again, even at 5 kilohertz, that sine wave is absolutely perfect. So in my opinion, there is nothing wrong with the output of this amplifier. And you'll see here that we still have that 3 volt input, which let's look back to the manual of this head unit real quick. So the manual of this head unit states that the output for this particular head unit is 4 volts. Now that 4 volts, you gotta think of how they came up with that number. That 4 volt is probably your maximum preamp output. Maximum's the keyword there. So that head unit's 4 volts at maximum output, and this amplifier you can switch between nominal and 4 volts for your input power, or your input voltage, sorry. So I selected it to 4 volts and set my signal generator up to 3 volts, which in my opinion is about 75 to 80% of your head unit volume, just to keep your channels out of clipping. So just based on all that information, I don't see any issue with the amplifier itself. The gain, I have not adjusted any of his settings since it arrived. They're all in the middle, and you can see here you've got minimum maximum on your gain, and it looks like they're in, what is that? That is half volt increments there. So I didn't adjust any of these, so I'm going to call this half gain. So at half gain at 3 volts, it's a perfectly clean signal. So let me just scoot this meter aside here for you guys, and let's just show you how this Alpine here is constructed. It is a typical Class AB design by Alpine, of course. So what we have here is just you have your output transistors, you have your emitter resistors, puts together your Class AB design with your NPN and PNP transistors here. And I don't see any scorching or overheating characteristics of any resistors. I'm not seeing any bulging or leaking of any capacitors. There's very minimal dust within the potentiometers of the controls and the power supply. Everything is good on the thermal paste, and if you notice too, even the thermal paste is still really in good condition. Hasn't been too hot, hasn't been cooked. This stuff turns really chalky when it gets cooked. So this amplifier seems to have been taken very well care of. So I'm just going around and just checking the thermal paste to see if any one of these has had a history of being overheated. And all the thermal paste is looking good. So I don't suspect any of these transistors to have any fault in the near future. The tie downs are tight. Just to make sure that it stays pressed. And I think this amplifier is good to go. Again, I don't see any problems with it. So I don't see any brown across the windings of this inductor. The transformer still has vibrant colors on it. So the windings haven't been overheated. The thermistors are very well still glued down. So this amplifier is good. I'm going to go ahead and button this thing up and get this back on the road for you, Kyle. I hope the information that I went over on the amplifier today about the head unit and your input voltage and the settings of your input voltage helps kind of determine if maybe you're running into a clipping issue or if you do have a bad output on your RCAs coming from your head unit, which is failing that left channel. Otherwise, that left channel works flawlessly. So with that in mind, I'll get this boxed up and we'll get it on the road, get it back to you. And I do thank you guys for watching, and I always appreciate everyone dropping by and watching the videos and leaving their comments. I try to reply to every comment that comes in, and if you like the repair comment and want to know information on these kind of amplifiers, please feel free to let me know. Please like and subscribe if you like the content. Stick around. I'll be back for more. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.